started DJing when I was 18 at university, and then pretty soon after that I kind of started to mess around with sounds and stuff and get into production. But I use the term like production very loosely because it just sounded terrible for years. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, was completely self-taught. But yeah, DJing came first because I was into kind of going out and partying and stuff, and then one thing kind of just led to another. I kind of only really started to get my first taste of house music and stuff was when I went to university in Liverpool. We started to go to like a club called Garland's and a club called G-Bar because they were the ones that were open till like 8 o'clock. So that was kind of my first experience of just coming out, being a complete mess and stuff, and going to after parties and meeting loads of people. And I kind of fell in love with the whole kind of concept and the whole kind of the whole thing behind it. Everybody was just having a good time. Everybody was really friendly and stuff, and I made a load of good mates from it. When I started DJing in Liverpool, the gigs that I used to play weren't really gigs, they were just at after parties and stuff. And I kind of found out pretty quickly that it was a case of not how good you were, it was kind of who you knew, which I never really kind of have been into. So I kind of realised that it was, if I kind of started producing music, then I didn't really have to kind of suck up to anybody or anything because you'd get booked on your own merit. So I started, that's one of the other reasons why I started producing music, and then I just tried to kind of get bookings that way as opposed to be up someone's arse and be like, oh yeah, will you let me play at your night and stuff. I was using Cubase at the time, that was the first thing that I ever used. And the majority of stuff that I was using was actually just stuff that was sampled. I don't even think it was sample packs. So you can imagine how just rough and disgraceful like the sounds were that I was using. Didn't know anything about EQing or anything like that, so whatever was cut had the frequencies on from where it had previously been cut from and stuff, and it was like I was into like minimal and techno a little bit, and then I kind of got into electro, but and like tool room kind of sound at the time. But yeah, the first tracks that I ever made were kind of just a bit of an amalgamation of everything that was in my head at the time, because I couldn't really funnel that information and those influences into a coherent track. What was coming out was just basically just a load of shit, but just a load of shit from everywhere as opposed to one pile of shit. I used to make deep house, or what was actually deep house, not this kind of horse shit that's played on radio and stuff now, not that kind of stuff. Because I kind of didn't have the confidence to try and make a track that would make people dance, and I thought if I made deep house, the kind of 118, 120 stuff, it takes away that pressure, because you only really kind of it would only ever be playing in a bar or something or by a pool, so people would only usually like sway and stuff to it. But I got sacked from one of many jobs that I got sacked from as a PT, because like I didn't turn up for work for like 3 days because I'd been to like an after party and stuff. And so rather than going straight for another job, I thought, right, I'm going to dedicate 6 months of my life to just solely making music, because it had always kind of been a little side project. So I never really had a steady release, and I never spent enough time in the studio to actually polish my sound. So I tried like I got offered a remix, and I decided to make it a little bit of a harder track, and it kind of worked. So then I kind of was like, right, I kind of have a little bit of confidence here. So I kind of just started to just make more kind of peak hour tracks, and then you just kind of smooth the edges over time pretty much until it becomes more and more polished. I kind of enjoy both of them for different reasons. Obviously DJing is amazing and stuff, but production is something where you can really kind of hone your craft and become more of a recognised person as opposed to a DJ. Now that we live in this kind of digital age where anybody can DJ pretty simply, all they've got to do is download some software and then they're ready to go. They can go get paid to play. Whereas production, that's where kind of you can really kind of stretch your legs and you can do stuff that other people can't do. That's what differentiates the two. And it's good to kind of be in the studio and be making something and you think this is gonna sound so good when I play it. You get the same kind of buzz, but for different reasons. I mean, then when you get to actually play the track out and test it, and you kind of feel really nervous before it's about to drop and stuff, in case you're like apprehensive on how it's going to go down. Both are kind of really great feelings. So to kind of use a bit of a cheesy line, they're both not mutually exclusive, if that makes sense. Most important thing that I think you need to like remember as an artist is you need to kind of have faith in your sound as an artist. There's a lot of times, I mean, because being a producer, I've said this a couple of times, it's quite a lonely and uninformed job, and it's very subjective. So you can go through a period in your life of like 4 to 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever, where you've been sending music out and it's not been getting picked up. And all of a sudden you'll start to doubt yourself and think, right, what do I need to do here? I need to change my sound. And I imagine that, because I still go through that now, sometimes I still think, fuck, I'm gonna have to, this isn't right, I'm gonna have to like change my sound here. Stuff isn't working, people aren't into it anymore, like in terms of labels. So there must be a lot of people who don't even get to that stage being a touring DJ, and before they've even kind of broke through, they've doubted themselves and they've been like, oh, well, I'm gonna change my sound. And they could just be on the cusp of getting something signed, but then they'll completely change the sound and then they've got to start all over again. So my advice is just to kind of be a strong-minded individual and to just have belief in what you're making. If you're passionate about something, regardless of whether it's music or it's anything in life, if you're passionate about something and you actually know what you're talking about, then sooner or later it will happen. That's a fact.